Well, let's get all the awards out of the way first, shall we? I think started at the top with Janai Broom being the first Auburn basketball player to ever receive a National Player of the Year award. That's pretty significant, obviously. So congratulations to him. I was very, very pleased that yesterday, or even maybe today, the semifinalist list for the National Defensive Player of the Award, the Naismith National Defensive Player of the Award, was released, and Denver Jones was on that. I think obviously that speaks to just what Denver's done over the course of the year defensively, how much, and again, how much he's improved in that area. But I think our team's success and then the visibility that we've been able to receive, just having so many national television appearances against so many great teams in the league, obviously brought our team a great deal of visibility, and thus the awards. I was proud of Tahad for being on that all-freshman team, and if you look at that list of freshmen, that might be as strong a group of freshmen as we've had in a while, and he certainly obviously is deserving. Chad Baker also making one of the all-SEC teams, and they only have 15 guys this year. We did, as coaches, we did change it to 5 guys on each team, so it's a total of 15. I think last year they had more. I think they had like 8 guys on the first team, which didn't make any sense. And so to be in one of the top 15 players for Chad as well as Janai making that team, obviously. I say oftentimes that when we as a team are successful, you as an individual will benefit far more than if you as an individual are successful but the team fails. And in a team sport, that is the case. I've always myself voted for the best player on the best team to be the player of the year. Not necessarily always the best player in the league, but the best player on the best team, and certainly Janai Broom was that during the regular season. We head up to Nashville at a place that's been really good to us over the years, and we will get a chance to celebrate some of our history. My first year at Auburn, we played 4 games in Nashville, including winning 3 of them to get to Saturday, where we lost to the eventual national champion, Kentucky. But that first year, that first team laid the foundation, laid the groundwork for what was to come. And then, obviously, we've won 2 SEC tournament championships in Nashville over the last 4 or 5 years. So that's not going to get it done for us this year. For me, what I would point to is this, which is really incredible. 13 of the 15 opponents that we will face in the tournament will be quad 1 games. There are 13 quad 1 team opportunities up there, which speaks to obviously just how good the league is and what an incredible tournament it ought to be. I mean, there's just no telling.
Bruce, obviously you guys have been a little banged up down the stretch this season. How much has this almost kind of week off kind of helped you guys going into the tournament, and where are you guys kind of at with that right now?
Yeah, I think everybody is banged up a little bit, but I think we're coming into it pretty healthy, to be honest with you, in the sense that I think Denver is probably feels a little bit better. Chad probably feels a little bit better. Janai is getting back to 100%. So you're right. Not to discount any of those injuries, but I do feel like, gosh, we could be in a lot worse shape. We took Sunday off, and we worked Monday, Tuesday, and now here Wednesday just on us. We've just really been working on us. We've not been focusing on any opponent. We know our first opponent is going to be Ole Miss, South Carolina, or Arkansas, and so the coaches are quietly working on scouting reports for those teams. But we're not doing anything on the court or in film prior to when we find out who we play Thursday afternoon at 2:30, except just working on ourselves.
Bruce, I know you're probably tired of talking about Chad, but do you have any conversations with him after that game? And I guess what's his mindset like now heading into the postseason?
We're good.
And Bruce, with Janai winning National Player of the Year, you mentioned this earlier in the season, like how so many guys would have gotten banged up and maybe sat out some games or tried not to, kind of play through it. To see him get rewarded like this for being able to kind of fight through it, what does that say about him and just kind of the season he's had?
Yeah. I mean, it says a lot of things. A couple of things jump out at me. First of all, I have no idea how he played against Purdue. I don't. How do you literally 2 days after they had injury put a harness on and go out there and play? But don't forget, at the time Purdue was in the top 10. They had beaten Alabama earlier in the season. We knew what an opportunity that was for us in Birmingham, and that was significant. And then he goes down at South Carolina early in the season. It was our second SEC game, right? I think our second SEC game. And was it the third game? Okay. And we're down, I don't know, how many we get down there? 8, 10 at some point, even in the second half. And he goes down with, I don't know, probably 17 minutes left to go in the game. And we come back and win that game without him. Says a lot about our team. Says a lot about the competitiveness, and it's stories like that talk about how you win a championship. And then without him, we go to Georgia and play a Georgia team that had already beaten Kentucky at home on their home floor, had gotten ranked in the top 25 for the first time in a long time, and we go in there without our best player, and win the game start to finish. And then, of course, you look back at that same Georgia team who also beat Florida late in the year. These are the things that – so Janai, and then Janai coming back from his ankle, right, and playing not 100%, but just sort of grinding through it. So, again, it speaks to him as a team and a leader, as a player and a leader. It also speaks to the team and how we were managed to win some games without him. And that's, that and how good the league makes this regular season championship as special as any I've ever gotten.
Yeah, follow up on your answer about Chad. I mean, that's kind of a big deal that he got ejected from another game, obviously in a clutch situation.
Yeah.
I mean, and you had a short answer for that. I mean, do you have a conversation with him? I know he's like a grown man.
Yeah. No, I understand that, but don't you think my conversations with him should be my conversations?
Well, sure.
with
I
him?
don't want
Sure.
a transcription.
So, yeah. So I've had conversations since the game. I've had conversations with a number of different players, and the flagrant 2 requires he's removed from the game, which is a tremendous penalty. I talked about it after the game, and regardless of it, if it's a retaliation for anything that took place prior, it's unacceptable. I said that after the game. I'll say it again. If you ask me that question next week, I'll say it to you again.
Okay.
But I'm not going to talk to you about all my conversations with all my players. So,
If I can go one more. Just in a different direction. You didn't have a chance to cut the nets down for various reasons. You were at Kentucky, lost here. It's kind of odd. I mean, it's a big deal to win a regular season championship here.
We had a great celebration at Kentucky. We really did. We celebrated in the locker room. I think we were all just, at least I know I was, just in awe of the place that we were. We played so well. I mean, we made so many shots, and in that particular game, really controlled the game against a really great Kentucky team that had beaten 5 top 10s and 7 top 15s, and I don't think they've lost since we beat them. In other words, it's huge, and we celebrated in the locker room, and then on our ride home, we celebrated when we found out that that Alabama had lost in overtime to Tennessee, and that week earlier Georgia had beaten Florida. So when in that week, when we got so much to do to try to win this thing, and you look at Florida and Alabama right on our heels, we truly celebrated. We truly did. And then when our fans came to watch us play Alabama, I thought it was great. The athletic department, just let all of our fans be a part of that championship by having a championship towel on every. So we've celebrated. We just didn't cut down nets.
BP, with the grind that this season was, I mean, in the physicality of the league, is there any way to gauge what the impact might be on the team in the postseason? Have you had a season where you're like, given what you just went through, the grind of it, I don't quite know maybe where they'll be at or how they'll react in the postseason in terms of the wear and tear and where they're at and stuff?
Well, I know, again, I've talked about this before, and I do feel this way. It's kind of very human nature-ish. There are 15 teams in our league that didn't win the championship. There are 7 or 8 teams, or 6 or 7 teams that really, really had like great teams. Like we had 6 or 7 teams in our league that have had like one of the best years they've had in a long time. You just go up and down the roster. But we were the only team to win a championship. That means there are a bunch of teams this weekend that are 3 or 4, or maybe even 5, but let's just say 3 or 4 most likely wins away from a championship. So I think people are going to come there like we've come there before when we didn't win it. Just, hey, let's win 3 or 4 games and let's get a piece of this championship. Okay, for us, we don't have a great taste in our mouth having lost the last 2 games of the year, but we lost to 2 teams that are Sweet 16 caliber teams, and the team that will play in the opening round, we'll see. Will also be a quad 1 game. I'd like our guys to continue to fight for the opportunity to make history and be a team that separates itself as we have already in the regular season. Well, now what are we going to do postseason? Can we be one of only 3 programs to win both the SEC regular season and the SEC tournament? Can we do that? Can we surpass the 2019 team that got to the Final Four? Can we do that? So there's a lot of opportunity ahead of us. I think we are physically and emotionally in a good place. But again, once again, that's why you play the games.
Bruce, I wanted to ask you about Chaney. I know his production's been down a little bit last 5 games or so, but just as you guys kind of, as you said, try to get this bad taste out of your mouth and get going in the postseason, just how vital of a piece could he be if he's able to turn it back on and get it ramped back up?
Yeah, and I remember at times talking about, like, prior to Chaney really starting to get going, like, just wait, Chaney Johnson's going to get going. And he did. And we need him to. We do. We need him to. Foul trouble's been an issue for Chaney. He's got in some foul trouble, and when he is not flying around and being, one of the best athletes on the floor and using his athleticism, his speed, his power, his physicality, which sometimes you don't do when you get in foul trouble, it lessens his effect on the game. And so I'm anxious to, obviously find ways to, to get that back. Nobody's in the gym more, nobody's working harder, nobody deserves it more than Chaney.
Bruce, there's always a debate among people about how much conference tournaments actually matter to like seeding and the stakes and all that. But like you said, you guys have made a lot of history there, and it seems like it's very, very important to you guys. Just I guess just kind of the mindset of the team heading into a tournament like this, knowing that you've already won a championship. But like Janai said the other day, like y'all are going up to Nashville to win another one.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. This team has demonstrated that they're great competitors. They don't want to lose. They don't like losing. We don't. And I think they should have confidence, going through the grind of what we've gone through. We respect everybody that's up there. It'll be about matchups. So no, we're not at all bought into the theory of next weekend is the more important weekend than this weekend. They're both very important.
Bruce, you've mentioned how you guys need to play more physically. Do you think having a full lineup can help that? Because you guys haven't had everybody available for a full game since the last time you played Ole Miss because of Denver's injury and then obviously missing Chad for a little bit.
Yeah. The league is incredibly physical, and it got more physical throughout the season as it progressed. And, that physicality, and I would like to think that we were also a team that, physically, it was one of the reasons why we were able to win the SEC tournament a year ago, because we had 3 games against South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Florida, 3 of the most physical teams in our league. And we managed it. We handled it. Now, we've got to do a better job on our second shot defense. We've got to do a better job of rebounding. Rebounding has become an issue for us as far as one of the areas, that we've been dominant in our offensive efficiency, our defensive efficiency, our 3-point field goal percentage defense, and our 3-point field goal percentage offense, lots of good things. And we've become just an average rebounding team, so we've got to improve in that area.
Coach, you brought up working on yourselves this week with the guys. Kind of how have you seen them respond to that, and what difference do you want to see this week, especially going into a competitive tournament?
I think part of it is just the balance between working them hard enough to keep them in shape and pushing them a little bit with making sure that they're ready to play 3 games in 3 days. So when we didn't do a ton on Monday, we went pretty hard yesterday. Today is a travel day, and so there's just going to be a lot of review. Like yesterday, we reviewed all of our side out of bounds situations, and today we're gonna go and we're gonna review like zone offenses. Now, we may not see much zone or going against zone pressure, but all it is just sort of a kind of a review of everything, so that, because what happens is we'll get our opponent at 2:30 to Thursday, and we'll be giving them a scouting report on either South Carolina, Mississippi State, or Arkansas. And based on one of those 3 opponents, we'll be taking what we've been working on this week and plug those things in.
All right, one last one, Peter.
Bruce, kind of, out of left field right here, but this year will be the 30-year anniversary of your national championship team at Southern Indiana. What do you remember about that group, and from your experience, what separates a team that can be really good and a team that becomes a championship team as you go into the postseason?
Well, that team finished 3rd in the league that won the national championship. And again, I guess it's sort of consistent with, I suppose, that some of my best postseason teams weren't necessarily my regular season championship team. And so it's all about step up. Like, what more do you have? And I think the one thing that gives me hope about this team is you've seen throughout the year different guys really be able to step up and see another level. That another level is what you need in March.
Thank you, Rudy.
Yeah, thanks, guys.